Hi everyone, it's Lisa Mears. Thank you for joining me today. In today's video, I'm going to be making 16 cards using the Spellbinders January 2022 card kit. This card kit is called Truly, Madly, Deeply. And I previously did an unboxing of this card kit on my YouTube channel, and I will put that link down in the description box. So if you want to see everything that's included in this kit, please head down to my description box and click on that link so you can watch that video. In the meantime, here is just a quick glimpse at everything that's included in the kit. And these Spellbinders kits are jam-packed full of so many fun goodies. So you always get a 6x6 paper pad, cardstock sheets, stickers, chipboard. There's also a stamp set, there are some dies, and there is a large ephemera pack. And the ephemera, you always get 2 of each one, enough to make 2 cards of each design. So again, if you want to see everything that's included in this kit, take a look at that unboxing video. I will also have all of my card measurements in this video today listed in my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com. And if you're interested in purchasing this kit, there will be a link down in the description box below as well. So let's go ahead and get started. For my first card, I cut a very thin black strip from the solid black cardstock sheet. This is about 5 1/4 inches wide by 1/4 inch tall, and I'm just gluing that onto this XOXO pattern paper. That paper measures 5 1/4 by 1, and I'm just using that black strip as just a little thin black border. So you can see most of it is hidden underneath that pattern paper, and only a tiny bit is going to be showing outside of that pattern paper. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that strip onto this heart pattern paper. That heart pattern paper measures 5 1/4 by 4, so I'm just putting it at the bottom of that paper. And then I cut out 2 cardstock panels. I have a yellow one that's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then that pattern is going to go right onto the yellow. And then I'm going to add that layer onto a solid pink cardstock layer, and that measures 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and start assembling all of my ephemera. So I'm going to use the card with the balloons, the rainbow, and then a couple of the sentiments there, love you and always. So I'm just positioning everything where I want it to go on my card front, and then I'll go ahead and glue it down. So the rainbow will go in back of the card, and then I'll put the word always right at the bottom portion of the rainbow, and then I'll add the love you off to the side. Next, I'll add this panel to an A2 size card base, and this kit does come with 10 A2 size white card bases and envelopes. And then to finish off this card, I'm just going to add some of the sequins that come in the kit to the front of the card. And that will complete this card. So I did complete 2 of these cards, and I will say that for the cards that I have duplicates on, I did go into my own stash and use some of my own solid cardstock. So moving on to my next card, I cut down a piece of the gold mirror cardstock to 2 1/4 by 2 1/2, and I'm using my rounded corner punch to round the corners of the gold cardstock because my intent was to layer this behind the sentiment, and the sentiment has rounded corners. But as I glued the sentiment onto that gold background, my rounded corners were a little bit different in the shape than they were in the sentiment, but I decided just to go with it anyway. So here I took a piece of the gold mirror cardstock and I cut it down to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I just cut the center out just to save that middle piece. And I put that gold cardstock onto an A2 size card base, and then I just added a piece of scrap cardstock to the middle so that when I add this other layer, it lays flat. And that pattern paper layer is measured at 4 by 5 1/4. And now I'm just going to add the sentiment down here. And then I'm going to add a bunch of these hearts. So the sentiment says beautiful hearts belong together. So I decided to go ahead and just fill this card front with a whole bunch of the heart ephemera pieces. So for the large heart with the music notes, I added an arrow through the center, and then the other hearts I just added around that, and I layered a few of them up. And then I'll finish this up by adding some of the sequins to the front of the card. And I did complete 2 of the cards. For the second card, I did not round the corners on the gold, and I actually like that one better. For my next card, I'm going to be making a shaker card, but I'm going to start out by adding all of the layers to the card base first. So I'm actually taking this XOXO paper. This was left over from one of my previous cards. This was from the first card. And then I have this strip of paper, the polka dots, that was actually left over from the second card that I did. So the XOXO paper, that measures at 4 1/4 by 4 15/16, and then that strip of the polka dot pattern paper is 2 by 5 1/2. I added that to a piece of pink cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I'm going to take this frame. The frame has a cutout, and the cutout says, "I love you, truly, madly, deeply, forever and ever." So I cut a piece of acetate slightly larger than the frame opening, and I glued it to the back of the frame. And then I took these little foam squares. These are from previous Spellbinders card kits, and I'm just cutting some of the foam off of these squares, and I'm adding it to the back of the frame. And when I add the foam, I'm making sure that all of the foam is connected. There's no gaps in between the foam pieces, because I want to make sure that everything is secure so that when I add the shaker bits, that my shaker bits don't fall out of any openings. So I am adding some glue to the back side of the foam. So even though it is double-sided adhesive on both sides, I still like to add some glue just to make sure it's extra secure, so it does not have any chance there of falling apart. And the glue that I'm using is pretty strong. So I go ahead and add my foam. Next, I'm going to place the inside cutout of the sentiment directly onto the card. And next, I will take my sequins and I will just add them to the top of the sentiment, just making sure they're all within that rectangle shape. I don't want to add too much, because if I add too much, then I won't be able to see the words on the sentiment. So I just put a little bit in there, and then I'll peel back the backing of the foam that is on the frame. I will add some more glue, again, just to make sure it stays secure to the card, and then I'll pop that right over top of the sentiment. And that is how you make a shaker using these frames. It's so easy. Next, I'm going to add that layer to an A2 size card base. And then I'm just going to add this colorful heart banner to the top of the card and add a gold glitter puffy sticker, and this says forever, and I'll add that to the bottom. And I did make 2 of these cards, but because I didn't have 2 of every one of the glitter words, I added the words "love you" to the second card. My next card, I'm using the leftover heart paper from card 1, and I cut it down to 4 1/8 by 2, and I'm adding it to the bottom of this black and white floral print, and that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then I'll add that entire layer to a solid pink cardstock sheet that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I am going to use this large tag, and if you look at the bottom strip of that tag, it has the same print as that pattern paper. So that's where I got the inspiration for that pattern paper, is from that tag. So I go ahead and add that tag to the front of that card, and then I'm going to just add some ephemera pieces, starting with the word love. I'm also going to add the flowers to the left of that word love. I am going to add the butterfly, and I love how the ephemera pieces have some gold foiling in those pieces. If you look closely at all of those ephemera pieces that I've used, they all have that gold foiling, and it's so pretty. I also added this little foam tag. It says always and forever. And then I'm going to add that to the front of an A2 size card base. And then I'm going to add some glue to the little white tag on top of the gold tag, because they are not connected and I wanted them to be connected. And then to finish this up, I'm just going to add some of the sequins to the front of this card. And I also created 2 of these cards, with the only difference being in the small gold tag. One of them says always and forever, and the second one says you are my happy. So moving on to my next card, I am using the envelope pattern paper and then this teal with the white polka dot pattern paper. The envelope pattern paper measures 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I'm taking the teal with the white polka dots and I'm just putting it kind of at a diagonal and off that card layer. And then I'm just snipping off the excess. So I didn't actually measure it, I just kind of eyeballed it, and you can see the shape that it gives. And then I'm just going to arrange the ephemera pieces, and then once I have them where I want them, I'll glue them down. So I'll start with the bouquet of flowers. I will add the small envelope, and the front of that envelope, it has a gold foiled heart, which is really pretty, and then it says with love underneath. I do add some foam to the February 14th as well as to the butterfly, just so those have some dimension and they pop up on the card front. And then I'm going to add the word always in this gold glitter puffy sticker and just add it there to the bottom of that card. So it says with love from the envelope, and then it will say always with the gold puffy sticker. And then I'll add that layer to a pink piece of solid cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I will add that entire layer to the white A2 size card base. I'll just add a few of the sequins to the front of this card. And I did complete 2 of these cards. The only difference is the card on the left, I used the XOXO ephemera strip because I didn't have another word always in the puffy stickers. For my next card, I have this dog pattern paper, and that is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then I cut down this star pattern paper to 2 by 5 3/8. Just layered the star paper on top of the dog paper, and then I'm going to start adding some ephemera pieces. So I'm choosing to use this round heart, and I go ahead and add the arrow flat on that piece of ephemera, and then I add the chipboard sticker that says smooches, and that heart will fit inside the white heart perfectly. And then I'm going to add the 2 dogs at the bottom with the balloons, and then I'll add that circle with the heart towards the top. And then I'll go ahead and add that to a white A2 size card base, and that will complete this card. So here are my 2 cards with this one. Because I didn't have another heart chipboard sticker, I added the ephemera piece that says Friends Forever to the second card. For my next card, I cut a piece of gold mirror paper to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I did cut the center out so that I can save that center. And I'm adding the gold to a piece of blue cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I cut down a piece of white scrap cardstock, and I'm just going to add that to the center so that when I add the paper to the top of that panel, it will lay flat. So here's my pattern paper that I'm using. I cut that to 4 by 5 1/4. We'll add that right on top of the gold. And I'm going to use these square heart ephemera pieces. There are 2 of them in this kit, and they have a heart cut out in the middle. So I just cut down a piece of gold mirror cardstock to fit the heart, and I'm just using the double-sided tape that came in the kit, and I'm just taping that gold mirror cardstock to the back of the teal ephemera piece. So now you can see the gold in the back of those hearts. It's so pretty. Next, I'm taking the sentiment that says you and me, and I'm cutting the words away so that it's going to say you, and then I'm not going to need the word and then I'll cut the word me. And I'm just going to put those in the center of the hearts. So one heart will say you, and then the second heart will say me. So I'll glue those pieces into that gold heart. And then I'm also going to use the ampersand. It's a chipboard piece, and that's going to go in the center of the card layer. So I'll go ahead and remove that double-sided backing of that tape, and then I'll add some more glue. I'll add those squares to my card layer. And I'll also add that and sign in the middle. So the card front is going to say you and me. And then I'll add that to a white A2 size card base. Now I'll only be able to create one of these cards because I used both of those ephemera pieces, and there is only one ampersand with that chipboard piece. So here's a look at the finished card. So moving on to my next card, I'm going to use the dies that came with the kit. I have this banner die with the polka dots on the edges that I cut a piece of red cardstock. The solid smaller banner is cut with white cardstock, and then the drop-in piece I'm cutting with pink cardstock. So I just take the drop-in piece, drop it into the outline banner die, and that gives me this die cut piece that says truly, madly, deeply. It actually cuts all of those letters out, so if you wanted to use those letters on something else, or even if you wanted to piece in other colors, you can do that. But I'm just going to go ahead and glue this pink banner onto the white solid, and then you can see the white through those letters. I went ahead and die cut that drop-in piece again out of some red cardstock just so that I can have those hearts, and then I'm just gluing in the hearts onto that pink banner piece just to add some more color. If you wanted to use the die just like that, you can, but I'm going to go ahead and back it up on the larger red piece, and this red piece has all of these fun polka dots just as another accent to that banner. Next, I die cut some hearts out of the pattern paper. This is the die that came with the stamp and die club set for Spellbinders. So I go ahead and take that lip pattern paper and add it to some red solid cardstock. The lip paper is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and the red cardstock is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I am going to add those hearts underneath. The first one's going to go underneath the banner, and then the second one will go towards the bottom of the card. Next, I'll go ahead and glue down the banner. And then I'm going to use the gold glitter puffy sticker words. I'm going to add the XOXO in the top heart, and I'm going to add the word love in the bottom heart. Next, I'm going to add a piece of twine to the top of the banner. I'm just first going to put a glue dot in the center hole, and then I did tie a piece of pink and white twine in a bow and just add it there to the top. And then I'll add that entire layer to an A2 size white card base, and that will complete this card. For my next card, I have a piece of gold mirror paper that I cut to 2 3/8 by 3 5/8. And then I'm going to add this gold and white star paper to the top of that. That measures 2 1/4 by 3 1/2. Then I'm going to add this large pattern paper to a piece of solid blue cardstock. The blue cardstock is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and the pattern is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So the star layer is going to go right in the middle of the larger pattern. And then I'm going to add these 2 balloons. One will be laid flat, the larger one will be adhered flat. And then the smaller one, I did put some foam on the back, and that will be raised up. And then the sentiment, you lift me up, I'm also going to put foam on the back of that, so that will be slightly raised as well. Next, I'm going to add these other 2 ephemera pieces to the top right hand corner. Now to me, these pieces look like fireworks, so that's why I chose to add them, to make it look like there were fireworks in the sky with the balloons. So I add the pink one flat, and then I add the blue one with some foam so that it's slightly raised. And then I'm going to add that to a white A2 size card base. And I did complete 2 of these cards as well. So that will complete all 16 cards that I made using the Spellbinders January 2022 card kit. If you're interested in this kit, take a look down in the description box and there will be a link. And also remember that all card measurements and up-close pictures will be on my blog at lisamearsdesigns.com. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more card making tutorials. Thanks for watching everyone, and have a great day. Bye-bye.